It's Veronica Day! Veronica, Veronica, Veronica. Hello everyone, my name is Lucy. Welcome back to my channel. And this character essay is part of a series of character essays on the Archie Comics characters and how them and their relationships with others should be portrayed in Riverdale that would help dimensionalize them better while staying truer to the comics. And today's subject is everybody's favorite snob, Veronica Lodge. This should be a fun one. Just a little history on how this character came to be, which I find quite fascinating. The concept of Veronica Lodge's character and her family was first originated from the creator Bob Montana's assignment to do a portrait of a real-life Lodge family. This Lodge family was very, very wealthy and enjoyed the kind of extravagant life that readers now know to be Veronica's in the Archie comics. Veronica's first name was inspired by the eccentric actress Veronica Lake. Veronica first appeared in the 26th issue of the Pep Comics series, just a few months after Archie Andrews, Betty Cooper, and Jughead Jones debuted. Veronica is portrayed as an attractive girl with black hair, favors expensive, up-to-the-minute fashion, and has been called one of the most beautiful girls in Riverdale. She's seen as slightly vain, always concerned about her appearance and clothing. She's constantly driving her father crazy with her credit card bills, causing him to try and curb her excessive spending habits, but of course with no such luck. She also enjoys traveling and has gone on many worldly adventures, which is the basis for the book Veronica's Passport. While her overall GPA in school isn't the best, she's particularly intelligent when it comes to mathematics, economics, fashion, and billiards. Veronica is sometimes kind-hearted, always willing to help out a friend in need. However, when she gets mad, she becomes unstoppable and impossible to calm down. She has an extremely bad temper, and it is unwise to arouse it. Now, I was always somebody who was Team Betty in regards to who should end up with Archie in the comics, but I still, growing up, loved Veronica. I thought she was a whole lot of fun. She was so funny, and I always felt this connection to her because Veronica was always who I played whenever me and my sister would make our Betty and Veronica movies. I get to go home now and dream my tutor.
I can't wait to have my tutor. I just realized, what if it's a hot guy?
Sorry I'm late. Oh, hey, Betty. Oh, hi, Veronica. Did you come to meet my tutor, too?
Oh, no. Didn't Miss Arkenbar tell you? I'm your tutor.
What?
Yeah, sit down.
But that's impossible. I thought it was supposed to be a guy.
I don't think so.
But guys always tutor girls in math. That's just how it works.
No, it doesn't.
Okay. So that's why it makes me so sad that she's so annoying in this show. Let's talk about this. I would still have Veronica be the new girl in town at the beginning of the series. She would come to town and she would definitely spice up the previous dynamic of the town and of the school. I would want this because she did in fact come into the Archie Comics cast a little later than the others, so the fact that she was the new girl, I thought that was quite clever. How I envision it is that she comes to town, and Archie and frankly several others are very, very enamored by her, and it doesn't take her long to become popular and desired by many people who meet or see her. Which brings me to my next point. The next thing I'm about to say funnily might be the most controversial thing in this whole video, but I think Veronica should be the one to have the red palette, not Cheryl. I feel like if there are any Cheryl stans that are about to come at me right now, just hear me out, okay? After watching this video, I want you to Google Veronica Lodge Archie Comics. The aesthetic that's gonna pop up is very, very red. It's very red. Like, most signature pictures of Veronica that are floating around on the internet or in a lot of versions of the comics are her in red clothes. There's one particular issue, I'm sorry I don't know the number of the comic that this is in, but there's one particular issue where she is dating this guy and he tells her that she shouldn't be wearing so much red, and she says that red is her favorite color. She's also said that purple is her favorite color, but that just goes back to the fact that the Archie comics were written and imagined by many, many, many different people, and something as trivial as a favorite color, that's not set in stone. But I'm just saying, she wears a lot of red. And it's symbolic. It's symbolic of her character, and it's symbolic of kind of what her character represents. Red is the color of desire, it's the color of passion, and that's ultimately part of the symbolism of her red palette, is that she is in fact desired by many, many of the boys at Riverdale High. A very recurring part of her character is that Veronica Lodge doesn't chase boys, boys chase her. And I'm going to talk more about what I'd rather have Cheryl's palette in the show be in her own video, but for right now I'm just gonna say that Cheryl's aesthetic is never red, and I actually like when she wears colors that aren't red because it makes her red hair really pop. Now back to her character in the show and what she's become. I'm just gonna say it. She's the cringiest gosh darn character in this show, and that's really saying something for this show. Besides maybe Cheryl. But still. Veronica. Oh. I really, really hate what her character has become now. I touched on this in my horrible things about Riverdale that not enough people talk about video, but if any man did the things that she's done, he would absolutely, absolutely be one of the most hated characters in the show. And that double standard is probably what annoys me the most. How she treated Reggie in season 3, how she treated Archie in season 3, how she is continuously toying around with Hiram and Archie, not picking a gosh darn side, how she talks in Shakespearean tongues. That's particularly cringy, the way she talks. I can't watch it.
Guys, can't we just liberate ourselves from the tired dichotomy of jock, artist? Can't we, in this post-James Franco world, let's keep this simple so that your preppy murderer half-brain can grasp it. Take this the hell down.
Fear you not, though, I have just the antidote. Step 1, clothes off, swimsuits on.
A surprise for you. It meant burning the midnight oil and calling in a few favors, but ta-da, come.
Like, I can't physically watch it without cringing. And how her entire character, and I mean her entire character now, is centered around money and business. That's really it. I don't want to see Veronica running a speakeasy when she's 17 years old. I don't want to see her running a rum business and underage drinking when she's 18 years old. I want her to be a snobby but still lovable teenager who gets angry easily. Obviously, I would still want money and business to be an important part of her life and an important part of her character. I just wouldn't want it to be all of it. For a while now in the show, this girl is only useful for her money. That's it. Really, that's it. That's how she communicates with people. That's how she maintains her friendships and her relationships. She provides them with any financial help that they need. And I mean, I would still want that, but just not that much. Because I would have also wanted to see her actual character, the character that's been evolving for 80 years into who she is today. When she would first get to Riverdale, she would be a force to be reckoned with. She is a definite powerhouse, and she gets Cheryl Blossom trembling a little bit because that was originally her position at the school, and now she's got some competition in Veronica. How Veronica would be different from Cheryl, however, though, is that she would be a kinder person who is a much better friend, who isn't deranged like Cheryl or likes sabotaging things like Cheryl does. And at the beginning of the series, it kind of seemed like that was what they were going for, but again, that's long gone. She definitely would be a lot snobbier in the beginning. I don't think she would ever really lose that because that's just Veronica. But I think that part of her character arc would be learning how to be a better friend and a better person. I definitely wouldn't have Veronica be smart enough to get into Harvard in the show. Absolutely not. Because in the comics, again, she does struggle quite a bit with school and with academics. But again, she would be smart at economics, business, and math, and would be really, really good at pool, because that's kind of the environment that she grew up in, and that's what she has been programmed to think is important. But classes like history and like science, I don't think she would like, and I don't think that she would do well in. And since this is a teen drama mystery show, I don't think that she would be very good at solving mysteries if they aren't catered to her specific skill set. I think that if they are catered to her specific skill set, she'd be like a whiz at it, and she'd be just really, really good. But if they don't, I do kind of feel like she would be, in the dynamic of the group, kind of a damsel in distress. The point that I'm trying to make here is that Veronica could be an extremely interesting character, because she could show that you can be smart in some areas, not smart in others. You could be totally badass in some areas and a damsel in distress in others. And that's okay. That's called being a human being. She could have had the potential to be, actually, despite her unique upbringing, quite a relatable character in that way. And her short temper also is something that could have been so much fun. I think that that would be the more humorous side of her character outside of her snobbiness, which I also think could have been kind of funny at times. But the fact that when Veronica gets mad, she is very hard to calm down and just goes for it. I think that that could have been funny. And I think that that could have also been a nice relief from the more dramatic things happening in the show. When Veronica first starts attending Riverdale High, I would want her to seem much more snobby and vain, and over the course of the series learn how to be a better person and a better friend. I think that that would be a very good character arc for her. Instead of coming to Riverdale and having her heart already set on being a better person and better friend. I think that that could have been a character arc that could have progressed throughout the series instead. Because what we got, it ain't it. She was actually a better person at the start of the series than she is now, so. Now, I felt the need to do this because Veronica's family does always seem present in the comics, and they are a very important part of her life. Now, I'm gonna start this off by one of my least favorite storylines thus far, and that is Hermosa, her half-sister. This girl has so much extended family in the Archie Comics canon. Why did they have to bring in a fake sister when they could have just brought in one of her cousins? This isn't going to take too long. I'm just going to rattle off a couple of cousins that I would have much rather seen in the show than Hermosa, because they would have just been more interesting, and again, they're actually part of the comics. We're going to start off this list with Harper Lodge. Harper is a successful fashion designer, advice columnist, and children's book author. She's been in a wheelchair most of her life due to a car accident damaging both her legs. Though she usually lives on the other side of the country, Harper pays Riverdale a visit from time to time and has even hit it off with Reggie and seemed to help mend his rotten reputation. Harper is the first Archie Comics friend with a disability, and I think that this could have been another cool way to advance the show, had they brought her in. The next one is Marcy McDermott. Marcy McDermott is Veronica's geeky cousin who loves Space Trek, which is, you know, off-brand Star Trek. Veronica is Marcy's favorite cousin, and the two have been known to help each other out when in need. Now, I think if Marcy were to have made an appearance in Riverdale, I think it would have been a really nice change of pace, honestly. Someone who's nerdy and quirky and doesn't quite fit the mold of the show, I think that could have been really refreshing. The last one is Leroy Lodge. Leroy Lodge is another cousin. He is a prankster and a troublemaker, often seen as a younger Reggie. But since he's in elementary school, I get why he wouldn't really work. So out of all of these options, or at least Harper and Marcy, both of whom I love a lot, why did they have to make up a fake sister? Because Riverdale already has enough dumb fake siblings that come in out of the blue. they don't need any more. So instead of Mimosa, just bring in Harper or Marcy to raise some heck. I don't know. I'm gonna skip over Veronica's relationship with Hermione because frankly, I really don't care. I don't care about it in the comics and I really don't care about it in the show because Hermione is a much more irrelevant parent than Hiram, and she always has been. Veronica's relationship with Hiram is clearly very, very complicated and very toxic in the show in particular. In the comics, she still wants approval from her father, and I think that that should be transitioned into the show. I think that it would be something that her character conflicts with to seek approval from her father, but I definitely would not want it to last 4 seasons when she's supposed to be having an arc and trying to be a better person. I think it should definitely be something that happens early on in the series, and I don't know, I can't even comprehend what the show is trying to do with Hiram at this point, so I'm not gonna delve too much into this because this video is about Veronica. This video is not about Hiram. It's a funny dynamic in the comics that Hiram does kind of have it in for Archie because he thinks that Archie's not good enough for his daughter, but it's supposed to be funny in that way. It's not. Hiram has somebody shoot somebody else and send Archie to an inhumane prison with medieval punishment. And for Veronica to still side with Hiram when Archie gets back from being attacked by a bear. So that's why I'm not gonna try to comprehend what the show is trying to do with Hiram or what they should do with Hiram because frankly I don't know. And frankly I don't even think it should be about the adults really at all. I think it should be about the kids. So moving on. I don't know what that was. Veronica's most prominent friendship, of course, is Betty Cooper, and I definitely wouldn't change that from the comics to the show. I talked about in my Betty video how I'm just angered by the show at this point because they're not even friends, and it just makes me mad. If you want to hear more about what I want in Veronica and Betty's friendship in the show, make sure to watch my Betty Cooper character essay. I talk about it more in that. So for this video, I'm gonna say I want them to have a very strong friendship. They do activities together, some of them typical teenager activities, some of them teen drama activities like setting traps for people, I don't know. They would definitely be very good friends and allies, and they would always be there for each other when the other is upset, even if it means showing up at the other person's house at 3 in the morning. Right now I'm going to talk about a very important part of their friendship that I would change from the comics to the show that I didn't mention in my Betty video that explicitly, and that is of course their rivalry over the attention of Archie. Now in the show, I believe there should be absolutely no overlap between Archie and Veronica and Betty and Archie in order to keep this friendship strong. Veronica, in my opinion, should get Archie in the earlier seasons. I would want Betty to initially have a crush on Archie before Veronica comes to town. But like I said, I don't think Betty and Archie should get together until they are both matured and ready. And that would take several seasons. By that point, Veronica would be over Archie romantically, probably with somebody else, and she would be supportive of Betty and Archie wanting to be together. Betty would also talk to Veronica beforehand, just to make sure it's okay, like Veronica did with Betty at the end of season 1. Veronica and Betty's friendship would probably have some huge arguments and some setbacks, just like any long-lasting friendship, but they would always come through and make up and realize that they fight because they care about each other and each other's opinions. Another great friendship that I would like to see with Veronica in the show is Kevin Keller. This one won't take too long. Kevin Keller actually did first appear in a Veronica issue. It was Veronica number 202 in 2010. And before he came out to the group as gay, Veronica did actually have a crush on him. But since then, they developed a nice friendship, and I think that this friendship would be a funny, quirky, cute one in the show. I think that their personalities would do very well together and complement each other well. The last friend I'm going to talk about Veronica having is, I would say, very much a frenemy, and that's, of course, Jughead Jones. If you know Jughead and Veronica's dynamic in the comics, it's absolute gold. They are constantly arguing and are critical of each other's lifestyles. She can't stand his laid-back attitude and witticisms, and he considers her an uncaring snob and enjoys arousing her bad temper. However, Jughead and Veronica usually manage to stand being around each other for Archie's sake. I think that this dynamic that's in the comics could have been so funny and cute in the show. And again, I'm just angry that the show just threw it away. I would like for these two at the beginning of the series to be butting heads a lot and just not really seeing eye to eye on anything, and have those very, very rare moments to show their genuine care for each other. And as the series progresses, and as they both grow as people, for them to become better friends. They would still banter a lot, but they would consider each other friends. I think that that could be a very nice friendship arc for them both, to learn to appreciate each other despite their differences. Okay, alright. Jeez Louise, what the heck is going on? Sorry, the sun is like going down, so I don't know if Again, just like Betty, some of these people I think she should just date, others I think she should end up with, and that is a very big difference. But the person that I want her to date, not end up with, is, of course, Archie. Now, of course, I would want Veronica and Archie to date in the show, because they have one of the most prominent relationships in the comics, so of course that relationship should be in the show. But it goes without saying at this point that I absolutely hate the execution of their relationship in this show. I hate it so much. Now, I already touched on how Veronica needs to pick a side between Archie's pureness and goodness and Hiram's criminal mastermindedness and sketchy work. And she just can't seem to do that. And in season 3, it got particularly annoying to me, and in season 2. I'm not gonna dwell on everything that Hiram put Archie through throughout this series, especially in that second and third season. But I am gonna say that given everything that Hiram did put Archie through, Veronica is not worth it at all. And even when Archie comes back after getting attacked by a bear, Veronica still sides with Hiram and breaks up with Archie again. I'm sorry. This girl is the worst in this show. She's truly the worst. And even if you disregard all the stuff with Hiram, Archie never is happy when he's with Veronica anymore. There are so many moments in this show where Veronica just treats Archie like crap and Archie just looks so done.
I'll help you with the bags.
No, we've got it. Archie.
We don't know that these 3 crimes are related.
Guys, can we focus on what matters here? Midge and Moose are alive. Archie's dad survived.
Even at the risk of enraging my parents, especially
My father.
just what he deserves after playing mind games with you.
Ronnie, I really gotta go. Hey.
I kiss you, but you're sweaty. I want to help. I want to hug you.
That's okay.
Oh, Archiekins, don't be jelly. It's just a ghost from my bad girl past, Nick St. Clair, breezing to town for the open house. No. You are not breaking up with me tonight, Archie Andrews.
Ronnie,
Archie, I am not letting my dad take away the one thing that I love. It's not happening. Are invited to dinner with my parents, chez moi.
Oh, Ronnie, this week's...
I don't care.
Yeah, normal people. Hi guys! Veronica. Greetings and bonjour to my fellow well-acquainted Riverdale civilians and my beloved companion in my horror version of Breakfast at Tiffany's life, Archiekins. I hate this girl so much. Oh my gosh, she's so annoying in this show. This brings me to what they should be in the show. Archie and Veronica should start dating definitely in season 1, pretty recently after she first moves into town. They should be dating and be on and off for 2 years, 2.5 years tops. And that should be it. They should realize that they don't really have that much in common, and it's really not much more than a physical attraction between the two of them. Because I really think that's how they are in the show, too. They don't have a lot of conversations, they just have a lot of sex, and they aren't that happy together. In my vision of what the show should be, they would realize this a lot sooner, that what they have is really just physical, teenage, summer romance-esque, high school love and attraction. And after this, they would mutually break up, and after a little while, they would be friends. Now I have 2 options, and you probably know this if you've watched my Riverdale Ships video, but I have 2 options of who Veronica should end up with instead of Archie. And that first option I'm gonna touch on is Cheryl. Cheryl and Veronica's relationship in the Archie comics is very much that of a rivalry. They're constantly trying to outdo each other with material possessions, wealth, and attitude. And I would definitely want that. Like I said, I think that they would both be really prominent figures at Riverdale High, and they would definitely rival each other in that way. And it would be one of those ships where the characters start out kind of hating each other and fighting all the time, and there's a lot of heat and tension between the two of them all the time, and after a while that would turn into this fiery passion. I think that that would be very interesting, and I think that that would be a very nice contrast of Betty and Archie. They would fight a lot, but they'd get really, really close to each other anytime they did fight, and you always think they're gonna kiss, but they never do. Until the one time when they actually do. This would really take them both aback. I would think the aftermath of when they finally kiss would be very funny, dramatic, and interesting. It would show them both kind of struggling with where they stand, what they want, their feelings, what their feelings are, what they mean, as far as having those feelings for somebody who you're constantly fighting with. And it would be so much fun to see. And again, should they both grow up throughout the series, they could learn to be more of a functional relationship that still has that passion and that banter. The other person who I would love to see her end up with is, of course, Reggie Mantle. Reggie and Veronica have a very existing relationship in the comics. He is often her second choice after Archie, many times actually her first choice over Archie. In the comics, Reggie is Archie's rival and friend and has strong feelings for Veronica Lodge. The fact that she loves Archie makes Reggie very jealous, so he spends most of his time trying to outwit Archie and playing practical jokes on him. Sometimes this works, as Veronica and Reggie do have a very clear relationship, like I said, and sometimes it doesn't. In 2009, Archie Comics published a storyline following two possible futures: Veronica marrying Archie in one universe and her marrying Reggie in another. Now, like Adam Chisholm, Reggie has proven to be a very successful addition to the infamous love triangle of Archie, Betty, and Veronica, because he is often seen wooing Betty and even more often Veronica. Growing up reading the comics, I actually did always think it should be Betty and Archie and Veronica and Reggie, so if that transitioned into the show, I would be very much happy with that. Now, I've already commented on how angered I am by how much the show butchered Reggie and Veronica's relationship. Like, it never even had any hope that it could turn into something real. That is one of the many things that I will forever be mad at this show about. Veronica and Reggie are definitely both pretty cynical characters, and I just think that they would be a more compatible couple in the long run than Veronica and Archie. I also think that they have more chemistry than Veronica and Archie, and I always have, growing up reading these comics. Not to say that people need to be similar to have a compatible relationship, because everybody's different, but I think that Archie and Veronica are just incompatibly different. They're not compatibly different, they're incompatibly different. And I think that Veronica would be more entertaining, and happier in the long run if the show had played their cards right on Reggie's character and her and Reggie's relationship. Now, as most of us know, this show is jumping ahead. The sun is really getting in my eyes right now. Now, like most of us know, this show is jumping ahead 7 years, and this gives them a great opportunity to refocus and bring in new characters that are from the comics and shut down any of these relationships that aren't working or have run their course. And I think that this just would be a golden opportunity to do both of those things as they are jumping so far into the future. We don't know what these characters' lives are going to be like, and we all know realistically that times change and people change, and I hope that that's something that will be visualized in this time jump. I love Veronica in the comics. I really wish I loved her in the show, but in reality, she's probably my least favorite in the show. So, that's quite unfortunate, and I really wish that her character would have been done better. Now, this character has existed for almost 80 years, so obviously I couldn't do a full in-depth analysis of every reincarnation of this character and every single relationship or friendship or family member whatever it may be, to fit in a video for YouTube. So if you have any other questions for me of what else is relevant to Veronica's character, or what else I would want to see in the show or not want to see in the show, feel free to comment them down below. I would be more than happy to answer those. Or you could comment down below your personal thoughts of what you may have wanted to see from Veronica's character as far as arcs or friendships or romances, or maybe having her talk like a normal human being. You can comment that down below too. I welcome your input. Thank you ever so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to like it. If you like my content, please make sure to subscribe. And I hope that you have a wonderful and amazing day. Bye.